April hidden history object is a large bound book that opens to reveal a register of visitors to the Charleston Exposition. Ledgers from this time are not uncommon, but this one has ties to a special event that happened in Charleston from December 1st, 1901 to May 31st, 1902. The South Carolina Interstate and West Indian Exposition, or Charleston Exposition, was created to encourage trade through the Charleston harbor, which has seen a severe downturn since the Civil War. Hoping to attract new business to the port and to the area, the exposition put on display elaborate new buildings, exhibits, and demonstrations of all sorts that were meant to impress visitors from far and wide. The Charleston Exposition was intended to emulate a World's Fair and followed similar events in cities like Atlanta, New Orleans, and Nashville. When funding became an issue, creator Frederick C. Wagner turned to the state's more progressive businessmen to fund the exposition through private and corporate subscriptions, a municipal bond, state government money, and donations of convict labor. Land was acquired along the Ashley River, and New York architect Bradford Lee Gilbert was hired to build the magnificent buildings that would earn the nickname the Ivory City. Ads were placed in newspapers and magazines, and special train lines were set up to encourage visitors to come visit. President Theodore Roosevelt made a trip to Charleston on April 12th and was presented with a military parade. Our register of visitors is a daily log of people coming to see the Georgetown booth, which was designed by the Board of Exposition Commissioners W.D. Morgan, G. Wright, H. Kaminsky, and S.T. Donaldson. The booth was located in the Palace of Agriculture, and an article from 1902 describes the booth in great detail. The booth itself is well worthy of consideration, for it is of turned and ornamented sap pine with cypress and black gum used in finishing, and every post and grill and cornice, and even the showcased and turned work, is the product of Georgetown forest, made by Georgetown men in the sash, door, and blind factory of Mr. Emerson of Georgetown. The floor is of highly polished yellow pine, and the counters and shelves and frames are all of the same material. Inside the booth, visitors saw two large paintings created especially for the exhibition by Harper Bond, both showing a bird's-eye view of Georgetown. Visitors also saw a 10-foot-tall cotton plant, a bald eagle, and other birds and creatures that sportsmen could find in the local waterways and forest. A display of canned goods from local cannery, Breslauer, Lashcott and Company, were stacked high. Local company Gardner and Lacey Lumber had a display of cypress lumber, shingles, and builder's tools. Local crops of potatoes, corn, turnip, pecans, walnuts, and peanuts were on display to show the bounty of Georgetown's annual harvest. The impressive booth placed third in competition, and city leaders were presented with a check for $125. Many visitors left comments in the margins next to their name. Comments like "fine," "splendid," and "the best I've seen" can be found on most pages in the book. Mayor W.D. Morgan hired photographers to take photos of the county, and those were on display in a special magazine found at the exposition. It highlighted Georgetown County, its past, present, and future. To encourage as many Georgetownians as possible to attend, Mayor W.D. Morgan and the other councilmen decided that April 17, 1902 would be Georgetown Day, and special tickets were sold by Eisman Drug for the Georgetown and Western Railroad excursion. The county hoped to have at least 800 schoolchildren and private citizens travel by train to Charleston, accompanying the Georgetown Rifle Guards, who were celebrating their 10-year anniversary. Light refreshments were served on the train, and a round-trip ticket of $1.50 for adults and 75 cents for children was considered a bargain. The local newspapers even featured the names of those who visited the Charleston Exposition in their society news and gossip sections. Visitors from as far away as China, Nova Scotia, France, England, and Cuba signed the book. South Carolinians proudly put their names in the book, and reading through the names is like a who's who of Georgetown County. Familiar names like Lashcott, Kaminsky, Eric, Brinkman, Hazard, Moses, and Fords are a few of the families that traveled to the Holy City to see the exposition. News articles from 1902 helped build the excitement, and you can imagine how thrilled people were to travel to Charleston to see their small county on display in such a magnificent manner. Despite everyone's best efforts, the Charleston Exposition failed to bring in the millions of attendees that planners had hoped for, and bad weather, a shortage of funds, and a lack of federal support forced the exposition to close early due to bankruptcy. The grounds became Hampton Park, and the state purchased the remaining land to form the new campus of the Citadel. Today, a bandstand and a small one-story building are all that remain of the Ivory City. The Georgetown County of 1902 has long been forgotten, but this large bound book reminds us of how our county once came together to show the world the best we had to offer.